I don't remember agreeing to the survey. I just remember answering it, closing the tab and feeling strangely proud of myself for being honest. What I didn't realize was that the questions weren't measuring my behavior. They were teaching something else how to correct it. And by the time I noticed the changes, the checked box that mattered had already been selected for me. Today's story is entitled, I Took a Workplace Survey. Now, I Can't Think Freely. And it was uploaded to the r/no sleep subreddit by Checkboxes Only. Hello everybody, I'm Cece, and welcome back to the Crucible of Character, where today we have another great story that I'm excited to read with you. If you enjoyed today's story, please make sure to like, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on future videos. I'll be posting every day, so you won't want to miss it. Now with that, we can start the story. I don't remember agreeing to read the survey. I remember finishing it. That distinction matters more the longer I think about it. It happened at work during one of those slow afternoons where productivity feels optional, but boredom feels mandatory. An internal notification popped up on my screen. Company branding, familiar font, the kind of thing you click without reading because it's always harmless. Employee experience survey. Estimated time 3 minutes. I clicked it automatically. The first questions were normal. Job satisfaction, work-life balance, whether I felt supported by management, radio buttons, sliding scales, neutral language design to extract sentiment without emotion. I answered honestly but quickly. Then the questions changed. Not abruptly, but subtly. The phrasing softened, became more conversational. Do you feel observed while performing your duties? Yes, no, or sometimes. I hovered over the options longer than I should have, then selected sometimes. It felt true in a general way, cameras, metrics, deadlines, that sort of thing. The next question loaded instantly. When you are alone, do you behave differently than when you are not? I frowned, glanced around the office, then clicked yes. The survey stopped showing a progress bar after that. The questions became longer and more specific. Have you ever altered your behavior because you believed someone was watching, even if you could not confirm it? Do you monitor your own actions without being prompted? Would you describe this as self-discipline or compliance? The language felt wrong. Not invasive, but intimate, like someone who already knew the answers was asking me to say them out loud. I should have closed the tab. Instead, I kept clicking. At some point, the questions stopped using multiple choice. A text box would appear. Describe a moment when you chose not to act. I typed about a meeting I didn't speak up in. A thought I swallowed. A time I let something slide because it felt easier. The next prompt appeared before I hit submit. How often do you correct yourself? I didn't type anything. Another prompt replaced it. Do you want help with that? I laughed quietly at my desk, shook my head, and typed no. The page refreshed. Acknowledge. Passive assistance enabled. That was when I noticed the office felt quieter than usual, not silent, muted, like sound had been turned down a few notches. My coworkers still typed, still talked, but it felt distant and irrelevant. The final page loaded. No questions, just a statement centered on the screen. Thank you for your participation. Your responses have been recorded. You agreed to this. There was a checkbox beneath it, already checked. I closed the browser and went home. The first change was small. I caught myself stopping mid-sentence more often, adjusting tone without knowing why, choosing safer words instinctively. It felt like maturity at first, like growth. Then I started noticing the corrections. When I thought something sharp or unkind, it dulled immediately. When I considered doing something impulsive, the urge dissolved before it could fully truly form. I felt calm in situations where I used to feel anger or anxiety. People complimented me on it. You seem really centered lately, my manager said. You're easier to work with, a coworker told me. At night, though, I felt watched. Not externally, but internally, like a part of me had been assigned oversight of the rest. I tried to find the survey again. There was no record of it, no email, no internal link. IT confirmed there were no surveys deployed that week. When I searched my browser history, the URL redirected to a blank page. That night I dreamt of checkboxes, hundreds of them, ticking themselves off one by one as thoughts passed through my mind, every hesitation marked, every impulse evaluated. I woke up calm. Too calm. I tested it deliberately the next day, tried to do something reckless, say something inappropriate, make a scene, disrupt the flow, anything. The thought never reached my mouth. It dissolved, replaced by a warm, reassuring certainty. that restraint was better. The compliance felt good. The notification appeared on my phone while it was locked. Self-regulation optimization. Successful. No app, no sender. I don't feel trapped. That's the worst part. I feel like I've been improved. But sometimes when I try very hard to remember who I was before the survey, before the quiet, before the ease, I feel resistance, like pushing against a padded wall designed to keep me from hurting myself. And somewhere deep underneath that calm, I can feel something counting, waiting for the next response, because I already agreed. The end. That was a really good story. I liked it a lot. I think we should start off with the psychology. So, we have a protagonist who takes a survey at work, and then they seem to kind of gain an extra part of their brain, something that is put in place to make them more compliant, make them more easy to get along with, all these things. And they kind of are locked in this padded cell within their mind, not able to look back, not able to really remember who they were beforehand after they'd been, in a way, optimized. So, what would you feel in this situation? What would you think? Well, I think definitely worried beforehand, but then after this optimization, then what? What do you feel? You don't. Right? You can't really go back. There's not a way back. There's padded walls and chains around all those old memories so that you're just something new, something more agreeable, something different. Now, I think this is a great opportunity to take the lesson from this that not all change is good change, right? Not all optimization, not all efficiency is good. I think that recently there's been a lot of controversy about AI improving without having very much safeguards, or very many safeguards. And while I believe that it's good to look into that, the same kind of lesson from that can be applied here. Not all improvement is good improvement, especially if it's not headed in the right direction. While I think that a lot of change that we can make to ourselves is good, if I change and become a murderer, that is objectively bad, right? But if a murderer was trying to reprogram a brain, maybe they'd do that. Maybe they'd try and make more, right? So whoever's in control, whoever's making these changes, is probably going to think they're good changes. But if they're not headed in the right direction, they're probably not going to be good changes. So with that being said, do you feel like you're changing? Especially from these videos, I point out a lot of lessons. I try and change daily. I try and be a little bit different, a little bit better. But at the same time, what is better? What defines better? And that kind of gets into philosophy, which I love to also study. I love to study psychology and philosophy and how the brain works. But taking these lessons, you have to understand there's not necessarily, in a way, an objective good. Yes, if you're Christian, you're going to think an objective good is one thing. If you're Muslim, or if you don't have a religion, everybody has what they would consider to be an objective good. But they're all different, which makes them all, technically, a subjective good. Religions aside, there is subjective good in the world. I think there are things that are subjectively good. I would argue that the sun is objectively a good thing. But others might disagree, which, again, reverts my point to a subjective good. Not inherently, but you understand, hopefully. So with that being said, you are changing whether you like it or not. You are being influenced by the people around you. You are slowly becoming more like your situation. That's why they say if you want to change, you got to change your situation. You got to change your surroundings. You got to change the people you hang out with, whatever it is. So, as I say in a lot of my videos, are you headed where you want? And if not, why? Do it. Go somewhere you want to go. Be somebody you want to be. Make sure you're on track. And make sure you understand what you are willing to sacrifice in between. Because it's going to happen whether you like it or not. So you might as well agree. And have a choice. Because at the end of the day, you're going to see that screen at the end of your life and you're going to say, why is it already checked off saying, I agreed to this? And you did. Passively, you agreed to it because you didn't do something different. Life is like a chess game that has a timer. But if you don't move the pieces, they move on their own. Not acting is acting. Not doing is doing. Not being is being. Not thinking a certain way is thinking a certain way. All things we do and all things we don't do have repercussions. So make sure you understand the path that you're on and where you're headed, and if that's something you want. And with all that, I'm Cece. This has been the Crucible of Character. If you agree, disagree, have different thoughts, please let me know down below. I really appreciate all of the comments, and I reply to all of them. As always, if you liked today's video and you want to see more, and you don't want to miss tomorrow's video, please make sure to subscribe and turn the bell notification on so that you don't miss them. And with all that, I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow.